Well, I suppose it's time for another DVD and Blu-ray unboxing, and this time I suspect that this might take a while to be uploaded because I don't really have a ton of things on the way. But I'm gonna do another one of these unboxing videos in which I open things up as they arrive, and then whenever I have enough content, I guess enough unboxings, I will upload it. And I haven't decided if I'm gonna review everything yet in the same video. I don't think I will do this. I will do that this time. It's just gonna be the unboxings. I don't actually know. I mean, there's gonna be more information in the description if you wanna know. But if you just wanna enjoy the ride as I decide what the hell to do with this video as we go along, you're welcome to just sit back and enjoy and join me. Okay, still a little bit out of breath from the errand run I just did, but okay, let's see. I realize my address is visible. That's okay. I always, when I buy things from Swedish sort of private sellers, I always hope for the postperson to not stamp the stamps, to forget that, because then I can reuse them, but not this time. Okay. Yeah, what is this then? This is, it's a bit of an odd shape. The seller's address is on the back, so let me just open this up off camera and remove the address. Okay, that should do it. So this is something I won. It's a DVD that I have actually seen. Well, I haven't seen the DVD. I've seen the movie, and it appears to be nicely packaged. A little bit damaged here in the corner. So you know, that is the what you have to put to kind of. That's the risk you take when you ask the seller to ship it without the case. So I have a spare one right here, because you know it takes, you know, it's a necessary cost for me as a buyer, so I always give that option to my buyers as well when I sell things, so you can save $1 or $2, which is good because it's just the case. And he put that in a plastic sleeve as well, which is, you never really know how the seller is gonna send things when you ask them to send it without the case, but most sellers are very good with these things, as I tend to be as well. So, but yeah, this is what you have to put up with sometimes, because there's no protection. Because if you would put proper protection, of course, then the shipping would, I mean, it wouldn't be any, there would be little point in removing the case, because the shipping cost would go right back up to what that would have been. Well, that's okay. I haven't even mentioned what the title is, but I'm gonna get to that very soon, and you can already see obviously which one it is. Let me just put this in right now. So this, if you do know what this is, you may have already you know, realized that this is a bit of a rare DVD to find. This is not an easy DVD to find, and I bought this from the Swedish eBay, the Swedish kind of version of eBay. So it looks fine with the case. It's no problem. But I had this, so you can, as with eBay, you can put searches, saved searches, and then when somebody lists something with that title, you get a notification. And somebody actually did list this, so I ended up being the only one bidding. There were very few people who even viewed the page. I guess here in Sweden this wasn't maybe that known or that attractive, but it is very rare actually. I've tried to find this for a while, and I finally, maybe last year or a couple of years ago, I gave in and I found it somewhere online. But I couldn't resist. I mean, there's no extras here, there's no real reason for me to own this. I mean, I'll probably watch it again at some point, because it's the most relaxing thing. It's just this old man who filmed himself as he moved out into the forest, maybe northern US or Canada. Does it say? It's in Alaska even. So he, actually not necessarily. It says published by Alaska Northwest. yeah, I don't actually know where it is, but it's north, you know. And so he goes up there to build a cabin, and he documents the process. And then there's this narration that it's not actually his voice. I forget some of the details regarding the production of this, but it's just such a relaxing film. And to watch somebody build something from scratch, put the kind of, you know, when you put logs in place, you've cut a little hole, and you put the log in place, and then just all of these little details that go into building it from the ground. It's just so incredibly, immensely satisfying to watch, and it's a very relaxing film. So if you haven't seen it, I really would recommend it. So yeah, documentary gem, really. I do know a lot of people, probably especially in the US, they know about this one. But yeah, I was really happy to find this. I think I paid, including the shipping. I mean, I would have paid full shipping if the seller didn't offer to ship it without the case, but luckily he did, and so I think I paid yeah, like $5 for this, including shipping. So I don't know what this goes for exactly, but I know it's a lot more than that. So again, I couldn't pass it up for that price, just to add it to my collection, to own this thing. So this is, it appears to maybe be region free, so maybe I can watch this on my PS4 if I want to see it again. Yeah, I was gonna say also, before I move on to the next clip, because I do have one thing that I'm expecting, but beyond that I don't know. I wanted to say that one of my favorite things to collect, like we all have these long lists of releases that are way out of print, you know, rare, and you know, they're hard to get, and they're available but they're very expensive, and it's hard to justify the price tag just to buy it like that. So you wait out, you try to find it cheap somewhere, maybe even in a secondhand store, which is possible with some of these rare DVDs. But I think most of the ones that I've found with these documentaries has been either through this way. I mean, you know, the way I found this with the notification, whatever. Or I bought them years ago before they went super out of print. But yeah, they're some of my prized possessions. I love documentary films, and these very kind of small releases of DVDs, I don't know how many were released of this, but it just happens to be one of my favorite things to collect. One of the most satisfying kind of checks whenever I can get a documentary that I've been looking for that is really hard to find on DVD. So a few of those would be Desperate Man Blues and Monster Road and Double Dare. Maybe there's a few more I can't really remember. American Movie, I guess, is really hard to find now. Some of these DVDs, because when they go out of print, they can be really, really brutal to track down some of the time and to find them. So when you actually have a physical copy in your hands, nobody's gonna take this away from me, and it's just a great feeling. I guess if it's more of a boutique label thing, there's more of an awareness that it's rare, so it might be more easy to get down the line, but it's gonna cost you, of course. Anyway, yeah, this was a bit of a longer clip than I was gonna make here in the beginning. It really is just a DVD that I've seen, that I don't intend on watching again anytime soon, but so happy to have been able to add this. And yeah, so today is September 20th, so I guess we'll see how long it takes for that other package to get here. Today is October 4th, and it's time for the second unboxing, which I caught myself almost opening without you. But I managed to think of it in time. So this, so we know what's in here. The title is listed here. I was gonna say, as I turned it over, I think I know what this is based on a few things that I have on the way. and whatever, but now I do know for sure. So there's no mystery involved anymore. So let's just take this DVD out. Let's see, that's all there is in it. So this is The Captive, or La Captive. Anyway, this is a film by Chantal Akerman. This DVD is not the prettiest DVD I've ever seen, but this is a supposedly English-friendly DVD. It says, yeah, Anglais. It says English, Portuguese. So it says subtitles French and then English – Portuguese and Spanish. So I don't know what that means. English, Portuguese in the same as the same word. I don't know exactly what that entails, but supposedly English friendly. And in which case I couldn't pass this up. I am a little bit concerned what that means. English, maybe it doesn't mean anything really, but the fact that there's a hyphen between English and Portuguese is very weird to me. I don't really understand that. But if you've been watching my recent videos, you might have seen that I've talked about, or that I've included some of her films, Chantal Akerman's films. So I've seen quite a few recently, and see. Well, I bought the Criterion DVD set, the Eclipse set, and then I bought a couple of Icarus DVDs with her films, and then I am aware of a couple other ones, and I was sort of having a look online just to see if I had missed anything, and I came across this, and I had to get this. So I'll be watching this within the next couple of weeks, I guess, and I will report back to you what I thought about it, and I will hopefully be able to conclude or come to the conclusion what this means on the back here. Hopefully I can watch it with English subtitles, no problem. But yeah, I have to actually, I can't really talk too much more about this now because I have a very low battery, so I have to stop this pretty soon. But Gemini Films, it's a French DVD. I believe that the Belgian, I mean the website was a Belgian website. It doesn't, I'm not sure that it specifies here. It's obviously in French language, but does it specify that the DVD is from a Belgian company? I don't know. It does say that there's an interview here. Bonus 1 hour 48 minutes. No, that's the film. Okay, and the DVD in its entirety is 2 hours 30 minutes. So about 42 minutes of extra, so that's quite good. But yeah, I have to stop the clip now because my phone is gonna run out of battery. But that's The Captive. Now on to the next unboxing. Okay, it's time for the third clip. Excuse me, my voice is a bit shaky. It's not shaky, but I'm a bit fatigued and it's affecting my voice for some reason. Okay, I just worked out. Workout didn't go that well, but I'm glad that I did it. So either way, it's evening, and I'm going to unbox this, or it's not exactly a box, it's a letter. So once again, like with as with the first package, the Alone in the Wilderness DVD, I asked for the seller to ship without the case, which they did. And once again, we'll start by having a look at the potential damage that I talked about that before, I think. The thing you have to risk when you want to pay less shipping. But it took a while for this to arrive. I bought this about two weeks ago. I think it's been about 13 days since I purchased this, and it's the same marketplace, so it shouldn't take that long. Really, it should only take a couple days. If you get the order, you ship it the next day. Often by the day after that, it will have arrived, maybe a couple of days. So if it takes more than a week, then you're simply not fast enough, in my opinion. And I have been slow too. I sell stuff, and I have certainly not always been fast, but I try to be each time. But almost 2 weeks, that's, I don't really care how much you sell. If it takes almost 2 weeks, then that's too long. Anyway, so let's see if I'm at least happy with the DVD here. This is something I've been looking for a while. Haven't really. I've sort of put this aside because this is it's a particular person who has made some travel shows, you can say. There was one over the years that eluded me, mostly because the DVD was a bit difficult to get. I got most of them, and then this is the one that eluded me because it just happened to be the one that I could never find for a cheap price. But here we have it finally, Billy Connolly World Tour of Australia. So this looks like it might be. Is this a UK DVD or is this an Australian DVD? It looks like an Australian DVD actually. That's a little bit disappointing. It could have been that I looked too fast, that I wasn't careful enough. It's probably my fault, and it doesn't really matter. It's just I have the rest of them in UK DVD packaging, so it doesn't really matter. But Billy Connolly, the complete series, World Tour of Australia. So I got into the Michael Palin travels. Being a fan of Monty Python, I bought that pretty shortly after I was able to purchase myself from Amazon. You know, when I turned 18 and I was able to purchase stuff myself with my own card and so on. I took advantage of that immediately, and I eventually found Amazon. That didn't take too long. I think I bought the Travels with Palin box set pretty shortly after that, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And I've sort of blamed him for my love of travel shows, which is just a loving way of saying that he has wasted a lot of my time and money. No, but I just enjoyed those shows so much. So I've been looking for other people, other sort of charismatic personalities to travel vicariously through, and to see all these places, and to have somebody go places and see things and try things and customs and traditions and see places, meet people, etc. That they wouldn't necessarily have done themselves without the camera. And I guess I just always felt that this made for really exciting material, really exciting documentary footage. And shortly after the Michael Palin box set, I found Billy Connolly, and then, you know, there's been Joanna Lumley and Top Gear to some extent. I find the same enjoyment in, and others, Stephen Fry. Anyway, so yeah, but how many has he made? There's a couple that he made recently that I haven't seen yet, but for the most part I've seen them. The one that he made earlier, I have all of those. The World Tour of Scotland and England and Wales, and then New Zealand. I have those. And has he toured Ireland as well? I don't really remember. But then there's a couple other ones like Route 66 and did he go to Antarctica, or was it like Alaska? I think he went to the north, somewhere in the north, like way up north. I forget what the show was called, but anyway. So I have most of those, or all of those, and most of his stand-up, or all of his stand-up, I think. Well, not quite all of his stand-up, but most of his stand-up. And so I am aware that he makes great stand-up comedy as well, and that's how he's known for the most part. And I do love his stand-up as well. Discs, I guess they look okay. Like before, I had a case on standby here. So there's that. So this wasn't that expensive, and packaging was pretty good, so I can't complain, even though it took a while to arrive. So ultimately I am very happy with this, and I'm going to be watching this quite soon. Yeah, I don't know if this indeed is it is the Australian DVD, which I guess makes sense, that seeing I didn't even connect those two dots, but seeing as he travels through Australia, I guess it sort of makes sense that the DVD is Australian, but I don't. Well, anyway, I'm pretty sure that there's a UK DVD also. I don't know if the UK DVD is harder to find than this one, and what I was gonna say is I don't know if the UK DVD has a few extras that is not on this, for example. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I am happy to have this. When is this from? 1996, 320 minutes. Yeah, so he embarked on a 4-month sellout tour of Australia. All right, so that's what he did. I remember now in the other shows that he did in the UK, he did stand up along the way. So, and while he did that, they filmed some documentaries, which were to be those travel shows. And I guess they did the same thing here. Yeah, so combining documentary footage from his live performances at his sellout concerts. Combining documentary footage from, oh, never mind. Okay, I think that's it for now. I do have a couple other things. I have a documentary that I'm really excited about that should arrive soon, and whenever it does, yeah, I'll make sure to film that. And then I have another one, another Blu-ray that is coming, so I'll include that as well. But the seller for that Blu-ray, they were on holiday until the 6th, I think. And today is, I just said before, but I forget now. Is it the 6th today or the 5th? Maybe I never said. I thought I did. Anyway, it's October 5th or 6th today. So that means that the Blu-ray that I bought should be shipped, hopefully this week. It's Wednesday today. So, well, anyway, that's it for this one. Next one will come up in a couple seconds. All right, so I have another package here, and then I have 2 DVDs that I unboxed previously in the video that I'm going to talk about a little bit. So, but let's start with the package. So I do believe I've been filming a few different videos over the past few weeks, and I forget exactly what I've said previously because, you know, days or even weeks pass between clips sometimes. But I do believe that I said that I had another documentary coming, and this should be that documentary. This was bought from Amazon US. It's in surprisingly, it doesn't look like it's squished, but who knows, I may have to switch out the case for this because it's just in a plastic bag. Some companies do that. Stop it. Like I never had any significant problems, even though I've received a bunch of things in you know, these little plastic envelopes. But it clearly doesn't give good protection. So if you care about your customers, then you simply don't ship things out this way. I guess the worst thing that's happened is that, you know, the case is cracked and then the artwork is a bit cracked through, you know, whatever, or not cracked but torn. And you can't really open these very easily either. Gonna have to go get the scissors. So I'm really excited about this one. I forget if I bought this new or used. Okay, so it looks to be used. This is Conan O'Brien Can't Stop. Let's check the disc. The disc, I don't know if you can tell exactly. The disc looks fine. And I'm gonna switch the case because it's an eco case and it's not in the best condition. Let's check the artwork. Yeah, you can see a few little dents, whatever here. But I'm gonna go get a new case. Let me do that right now, actually. Okay, so I found a pretty clean-looking case here in my stacks of spare cases. There's always something on them. They never look completely perfect, but this is gonna have to do it. So what do I have to say about this film? Well, I'm sure you know who Conan O'Brien is, talk show host. Oh no, wait a minute. Oh, this sucks. Oh, that really sucks. If that's gonna, I didn't see this. It might just be the artwork on the disc. It's not cracked all the way through. I wonder if that's gonna prove it is a little bit cracked on top. This may affect playback. I'm gonna have to report back later on in this video. If so, I feel like, you know what I'm gonna do is, because I have a few things to say about this, but if this is not gonna be watchable, I don't want to waste time talking about a DVD that I'm not gonna be able to watch. So I'm gonna watch this, and then I'll come back tomorrow. I was gonna go through this today because I'm looking forward to seeing this film. I've seen this a couple times before, and I've never seen the extras, and I'm a huge fan of Conan O'Brien, and I wanted this DVD for a while, so I was really happy that this was available for a fairly cheap price. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna. Hopefully, this is gonna be viewable without you know, without faults, you know, without the disc or the film skipping or freezing or whatever. I'm not so confident though. I'm gonna check this out tonight. If it doesn't work, then I'm gonna have to contact the seller. If it does work, I'll come back tomorrow and talk about this. Either way, that's not good. Either way, we have two more DVDs to discuss briefly here. Billy Connolly World Tour of Australia. Yeah, so I had a really fun time watching this. There's something so just something so nostalgic and comfortable about watching his travels. They are very sort of low key in many ways. It's not the most bombastic, you know, epic, gritty travel show in the world. I mean, there's a few different brands of travel documentary, I guess you could say. There's the you know, the more gritty stuff, the more you know, down and dirty. I don't think that's the word I'm looking for. Anyway, I'm referring to things like Michael Palin's travels to a certain extent because he has to put up with you know, less than ideal lodging some of the time, and uncomfortable and long travel sessions, and so on, and a lot of physical fatigue. But then you take it a step further to something like Long Way Round with Ewan McGregor and Charlie Boorman, and there's, you know, they go on their motorbike sort of from Scotland, I guess, and down through Europe, and then kind of east or into like the Middle East or Asia, and then up. I forget exactly what route they take, but they end up in one part, like in Siberia, someplace in Siberia, I guess. And they're trying to get through with their motorbikes through the awful terrain. There's barely any roads. It's just a hellish time. And then you have stuff like this, which is more comfortable. You know, Billy, he's on a stand-up tour in Australia, and he films what he's up to in the meantime. It appears a lot of the time he will talk about the things that we see him do. He will talk about that on stage. He will kind of, oh yeah, the other day I met this guy who was a crocodile farmer, whatever, and then he says something about that. So that's what this is, and a lot of the time, I guess if you could compare, if you allow me to make another comparison to something like Joanna Lumley, or the most recent, like James May in Japan, Big Man in Japan, whatever it was called, Our Man in Japan. Those kinds of shows, they rely pretty heavily on, and Michael Palin's shows too, they rely pretty heavily on the host sort of traveling around, meeting people, introducing the people to the camera, so that they can then introduce Michael and the viewer to this thing that they may be having an expertise on, or this museum they may own, or this hobby they may have, or this whatever. It's, you know, somebody who may be a guide somewhere. They show you around, and they're presented pretty extensively as this interesting character, and you get to know all kinds of people as you go along. But with Billy's shows, they maybe some of the later ones are more like that, but these early ones, they were more mostly just him on camera, him showing the camera stuff. I mean, he meets people along the way, but very few people are really presented to the camera. It's never really, okay, so I'm here with this guy now, please introduce yourselves. Okay, so what are we gonna do today? Well, I thought we'd have a look at it. It's not too much stuff like that. It's mainly just Billy being up to things or trying things out for himself, or at least that's the way it appears to the camera. He's the guide. He's the guy exploring things and introducing things to the camera. So it's mostly like a solo adventure in that sense with his shows, with a few tweaks or whatever, a few he meets people, but again, they're not introduced necessarily to the camera, to the viewers. So it's mostly just hanging out with him, which is a really fun time. Like I could use that as a criticism. Like, I want to see Billy connect more with people on camera, and there is that, but maybe not enough. Like, I could use that as a criticism. But then I'm like, well, maybe it's a positive thing, because it creates this very comfortable atmosphere of hanging out with Billy, and that's not a bad thing. He tends to be very entertaining with whatever he does. He's a very charismatic and sort of joyful person. And anyway, I had a lot of fun with this. Yeah, it is what it is. It's not the most exciting travel show, but there's something about it. There's a certain charm to it that it really is unmistakable. I really enjoy his shows. I don't think there's any. Well, there's a couple newer travel shows. Maybe I said this before, but there's a couple of shows he made recently that I haven't seen. But for the most part, I'm pretty much up to. I mean, I'm pretty much complete with the DVDs. And then I guess The Captive. I can update you now that I've seen it. I was a little bit. There was a slight confusion with the subtitles, but there was really no need. It is completely English friendly. Even the interviews here, they are subtitled in English. And yeah, the menus are, there's a, gives you the option to choose the English menu when you open up the film, or when you put the disc in. And I suppose when I unboxed this, I was a bit too hurry. I was in a bit of a hurry because my battery was low, and I could have just waited, I guess. And anyway, I forgot to mention that I bought this. I forget what the website was called actually, but it must have been a Belgian website. I mean, she's a Belgian filmmaker. She was. I think I said that too. Okay. I will. Getting sick of myself here. I remember when I bought this that, well, I know that the shipping was a little bit pricey, and so I was trying to find something else to maybe make it more worth it, to bring the shipping down per item, But I couldn't find anything else necessarily that I wanted. They didn't have a ton of stuff. Again, I do apologize. I have very little information about this. Gemini Films might be the distributor of the DVD. I don't know if that's what the website was called. It does say GeminiFilms.com here. Anyway, if you want to find it, maybe you can. If you're not able to, just let me know and I'll have a look and I'll let you know where you can buy this. But anyway, this is based on a let's see, I forget his name. What was his name? He wrote that famous oh god, Marcel Proust is his name. Never read anything from him, but this I do believe this is one of two maybe films that she made based on other people's work, adaptations of novels. So this one is from the early 2000s actually. You can tell that that's when it's supposed to take place because of certain technology or certain vehicles and so on. But obviously Marcel Proust, I don't know exactly when he lived, but he sure as hell was not alive in 2001. So they've sort of updated the story, I suppose, but it's, you know, it's not necessarily a story I feel like that you have to have take place at a certain time, because what you have this guy, very well played, very well acted by this young actor here. Well, they were, I think they were actually about my age, late 20s. They did look a bit younger. But he's this kind of well off, has a rich family, it appears, certain health problems. He has this very obsessed relationship with his girlfriend, which the film is introduced very interestingly. I thought that he was obsessed with somebody that he did not know, but then all of a sudden we see them together, and I realized that they were together, and he just has this obsessive sort of desire to know her every step, you know, and he gets suspicious if she sees people that he didn't know that she was going to see, and so on. So his very being is consumed by her in you know, the wrong way, and so the captive kind of refers to, I mean, it could refer to her, because he's sort of, you know, holding he's sort of keeping control of her to a certain extent, although she never really appears to be that bothered by it visibly, and he never hurts her or anything like that. He's just too intense about their relationship. But the captive, I think it's a pretty common perception to have, or interpretation to make. It seems to refer perhaps more to his being. He's the captive of her spirit and of her personality, and his love for her is not exactly the most sound thing in the world. And so it's about that chemistry between the two of them. It's very well filmed. There's a delicate nature to this film. I love this cover here. It says a lot about their relationship. There's a certain, despite him wanting to be so close with her, you know, there's a separation between them. That's pretty clear. And I can't say too much about the story. I mean, I don't know I haven't read the book. I haven't looked up the book. I don't know what the differences are, but there's clearly a lot of levels to the psychology of well, especially this guy, and what the story actually has to say about relationships. There's some really interesting scenes happening throughout the film, but for the most part it's pretty consistent in its style and its focus, only sort of breaking that for a couple of scenes, I felt like, and that makes those other scenes very interesting. Yeah, it's not my absolute favorite by Ackerman, but it's one that I'm very happy that I bought. And if you are a fan, or if you're, you know, just curious about the film, I would recommend it. I haven't seen this before. What's this all about? They've duplicated the images at the bottom. I'm not sure exactly why. If there's anything in the film that would perhaps be the reason for this, I don't think so. I think it's just filling out the space, but that's maybe not. I can't come up with a good reason why there should be two sets of these images. Well, anyway, maybe it reflects the double nature of the film. Maybe that's looking too far. Maybe they just had the space. They didn't have 4 images, but that seems ridiculous. Anyway, that's not the thing to focus on. I guess overall I would say that it's not the absolute most emotionally affecting film, but it is a very psychologically intriguing film that has certain depths that will force me to think further about it, to be able to speak more properly about it. And that's a good thing when you watch a film and you feel like you're jumping in the waters and you can't quite feel the bottom with your feet. There's more there for you to explore. That's usually the sign of something interesting, I feel like. If you know exactly what to make of a film, it's not always necessarily the most positive thing in the world, because it doesn't allow for further contemplation. But in this case, I would say that it does, although it is a fairly simple story, ultimately, the way it's told. Doesn't necessarily fall for too many cliches. I did find it interesting how she never really appears to be that bothered by his obsession with her. She never seems to be that tortured by it, which maybe you could expect from other films with a similar plot. At first I thought that it was going to be a pretty simple story of him literally capturing her, because he seems to be following her in the beginning. But what it turned out to be was potentially a little bit more interesting than a story like that. Although any story comes down to how you tell it. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I will say that it's not the most pretty DVD in the world. I like the cover, like I say, but it's, you know, it looks pretty. Well, I don't know. It's not the best looking DVD in the world, but it's the contents are well worth it. So there's that. So yeah, right. So now we have this left, this debacle, and then we have one more unboxing. So let us skip ahead a little bit to that. Okay, it's again one of those days where I've been out running errands for an hour and a half. I had some post errands, and then I went to a second-hand shop and I found a bunch of cool things, a bunch of Clint Eastwood movies on DVD that I've been looking for that I haven't seen. I've been trying to complete those movies in my collection, and I found a bunch of cheap DVDs of his films that I don't have, like 6 or 7 or 8 of them. Crazy. Really excited about that. And then some anime that looked very interesting that I may or may not keep, and a few other things as well. So it's been a pretty good day. Overall, I'm always happy to be home, and I'm always happy to be greeted with a package in the mailbox when I do so. Okay, so this, I know exactly what this is. By the way, also, and this is the last unboxing of the video, and then I have to just talk about this as well. And then, you know, I just said, by the way, the Conan O'Brien Can't Stop documentary, that's also the one that I'm going to talk about. And by the way, referred to, I watched it yesterday, and it plays fine actually. The crack on top, I guess it's the paint job, or it's not paint, but it's the label or whatever it is. That's cracked, but it did look like it possibly went through into the disc. I wasn't sure, but it plays fine. I haven't listened to the commentary yet, which was one of the reasons why I wanted to have it. So I'll return in the last clip after this to talk about that and this one also. Yeah, so this, where did I buy this from? I think I bought this from an eBay seller, and this was the seller that I may have mentioned was on sort of a holiday until a certain date, but they were still very quick with shipping this out whenever they arrived, whenever they came home. I don't know if this was a private seller or somebody who had a business selling things, but it's well packaged, and yeah, I'm really excited about this one. I did refer to this one in a previous unboxing, so you may have heard me mention that this was arriving. Let's see here. So this, okay, here we go. Love Express, the disappearance of Walerian Borowczyk, directed by Kuba Mikurda. Okay, this is supposed to be region free. I take it. I have nothing to worry about. but it is usually just a slight worry whenever I buy a an American release that is supposed to be region free. I have faith in whatever information I can find online, but I'm always like just very slightly concerned whether the information that I've seen is faulty, but it doesn't appear to be. So I guess if you go on to Blu-ray.com and it says region B confirmed, I mean that's pretty much carved in stone at that point, in my experience. Anyway, so this documentary is about the filmmaker Walerian Borowczyk. I mentioned him in a previous unboxing because I was talking about Love Rights, which is the most recent film that I've seen from him. But previous to that, I've been enjoying the various Arrow releases that I've been very impressed with those releases and with his cinema overall. There are a couple of films that he made that I know are available on DVD. Behind Convent Walls is the main one. I think I'm just going to have to go with the UK DVD, which the reason why I want to get the American Cult Epics DVD is because it's got one extra featurette. There's like some kind of behind the scenes on both of them, I think. But there's an interview with an actress, possibly, I forget exactly, but an interview with somebody involved in the film Behind Convent Walls, and obviously I want to get the best release. And the DVD, the Cult Epics DVD does look better. I think Cult Epics was the company. Could be mistaken, but I think so. Cover looks nicer, the DVD looks nicer. But anyway, so I'm just mentioning that because I'm sort of nearing completion with his films on DVD and Blu-ray. This is not a film by him, but it's obviously a documentary about him. The other one that I don't have is Emmanuel 5, which is also available on DVD, but I don't know if I necessarily feel like I need to get that. I really would only be getting it for completionist purposes and nothing else. But anyway, Altered Innocence is the company releasing this. I had never heard of them before. It's a quite short film, 76 minutes. It does have some interview outtakes with Terry Gilliam, Peter Bradshaw, Neil Jordan, and Slavoj Zizek. I don't know who Peter Bradshaw is, but I'm not surprised to see. I'm not surprised to see Terry Gilliam in this one at least. So what does this say? How does I feel? So okay. So before I read the back real quick, I did mention in that previous video in which I referenced this that the film Love Rights was the last film he made, but he was alive for nearly 3 decades more after that. And I said that I have this documentary on the way called Disappearance of Walerian Borowczyk, and I was wondering if the theme of this documentary, seeing what the title is, has something to do with that period at the end of his life. So let's see if it does. I haven't read this yet. How does a filmmaker go from creating cutting-edge work and competing in Cannes to being labeled a failed erotic filmmaker? Okay. The debut documentary feature from Polish critic and academic investigates the work of Walerian, a director of unparalleled creativity and sensitivity, revered in the 1970s. Yeah. Okay. So it doesn't specify that it's about the end of his life, but it does specify the shift into erotic films. I guess that's fair. But he sort of, I mean, he always had erotic elements in his films. I guess there are a few other films that aren't available on DVD or Blu-ray that I may not be as familiar with for that reason. Yeah, I mean, he directed erotic films early on. I guess maybe the ones he made later in his career is considered more smutty, perhaps. But I don't know. I feel like Love Rights from 1987, if you compare that to The Beast or something from, when is that from exactly? Well, much earlier. The Beast is more graphic, and it's not necessarily higher art than Love Rights. So are they what period are they referring to exactly? Well, that should be interesting to find out. I guess it is true that some of his later films were a bit more yeah, just plainly erotic perhaps, with little else to offer, according to some people maybe, compared to some of his earlier films. He did start making animation films of various kinds, and art films and so on. But I mean, I still feel like the erotic elements, they were there pretty early on. But anyway, should be interesting to watch. I'm looking forward to this. Yeah, the last clip then is gonna be me talking about Love Express, the disappearance of Walerian Borowczyk, and Conan O'Brien Can't Stop. So I'll do that in the next clip in a couple of days, I guess. Okay, let's wrap up the video. So, these two, like I mentioned, it's October 21st today. Yes, Conan O'Brien Can't Stop. Let's have a look at this again, because, you know, it's a bit hard to tell. I guess it's just the artwork here, but it looks like on the side here, I don't know that you can tell. I don't think that's gonna show up. I thought it looked like it kind of went down into the disc, but I guess it doesn't. Anyway, so it plays perfectly fine. So like I said, I listened to the commentary. I did that yesterday. The film itself, I can mention first what I think about the film. I saw this when this came out. I think just after this came out, and I don't know how much I knew about Conan O'Brien at the time. I think I was sort of vaguely familiar with him, but I don't think I had any real understanding of who he was or whatever. His brand of comedy, etc., his fame, his style of humor, whatever. Yeah. But I remember watching it and really enjoying it. And then a few years later, I know that I rewatched it, and I wasn't sure where I rewatched it, but I went onto Letterboxd, and I had already logged it, and I had noted that I had seen it on Netflix. So I saw this on Netflix 5 years ago for the second time, and it's since been removed from Netflix, at least in my zone. So yes, it's been about 5 years since I saw it the second time, and I think maybe not quite 5 years before that, but probably about that. So I think, yes, I've seen it 3 times with like 5-year intervals. Anyway, I enjoyed watching it again. Some people think it's too much music, too little comedy in the concert that they tour in this documentary. It's, you know, about Conan O'Brien after this whole Tonight Show debacle, where him and Jay Leno, they had 2 slots, and Conan O'Brien's show kept being pushed back, and it was going to be pushed back into the next day, like after midnight. And there were a bunch of other things going on. But he decided that he didn't want to do that, so he signed a contract in which, I take it, he was paid handsomely, and he wasn't allowed to be on television for 6 months. And that aspect I did not remember about this. That's fairly absurd. But instead of that, he then he took to the road. He created a tour, a concert comedy tour, or a show that he toured the United States with. And he brought his crew with him, and the film documents the journey. And it does show the act to some extent, but some people apparently feel like the act that was shown was not, there wasn't enough comedy in it, which I didn't really have a problem with that. I got the sense of the show well enough, and it's not really about the show anyway. It's about the creating of the show, and of what goes on behind the scenes, and it's pretty much that. It's not too much beyond that, but it's an interesting study of Conan O'Brien in this time of his life, the beard period, where he grew out a beard. I think that just the anger of the situation just it pushed the beard out. I don't know. I always think about that time when I see him back. at late night with a beard, I always think, oh yeah, that was right around the time where he toured with this show. Anyway, yeah, so I really enjoyed the movie, but I wanted to get this because of the extras. Really, I mean, I wanted to see the movie again, and I wanted to have it on DVD. It's also available on Blu-ray, but I wouldn't be able to watch that anyway. Commentary, that's the thing that I wanted to, that I wanted to have the most. The main reason why I wanted to get this. So it features the filmmaker, and then Conan, of course, Andy Richter, Mike Sweeney, who's the head writer, and Sonam Obsessian, who's his assistant, and they all feature in the movie. Not the filmmaker of the film, but the rest of them. So the commentary was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed that last night. There's an interview here, interview outtakes, and additional scenes. So I think the additional scenes, they went on for about 40 minutes or something. So that was quite fun as well. I suppose I can say that since I saw this, I mean, when I saw this the second time, I had become more of a fan of Conan. In the meantime, I had started to view a lot of late night clips on YouTube. I would subscribe to all of the shows, even the old, the Johnny Carson channel on which they upload occasionally. I'm subscribed to, and I enjoy all these channels. I mean, nowadays I don't watch a ton of them frequently. I mainly watch old Conan clips and Craig Ferguson compilations and Letterman compilations to some extent. Of course, Conan has left late night now. He retired from late night a few months ago, and he is due to come out with a weekly HBO show, whatever that's going to be like. I don't know what it's going to contain exactly, but it's going to be exciting. It's going to come out at some point, hopefully next year. So I'm looking forward to that. But sidetracked. But in the meantime, I mean, before I saw this the second time, I had become more of a fan, and so I guess that was the reason why I wanted to see this again. And now, when once again, 5 years later, the reason why I wanted to see it yet again was because once again I had become even a greater fan. So my fandom has just increased over the years as I watch more of his stuff, and as I listen to the podcast, which is something they've been doing over the past, I forget if it's 2 years or 3 years. It's been a while. And they also do the podcast is called Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. So they interview a celebrity guest each week. But they also have the Conan O'Brien Needs a Fan on Thursdays, which is about 20 minutes. I actually just listened to the last one. It was the one with the Belgian in France. Yeah, so they also do that podcast show, and so I've become very familiar with listening to him, Sonam Obsessian, who is part of the podcast, and then Matt Gorley, who's the producer, but he also became like part of the actual show. I don't know if that was planned from the beginning, but so I'm very used to listening to him and Sona speak on the podcast. So it was kind of fun to listen to them many years before and realize that they had the same chemistry then too. Of course, I've seen them on, I've seen her on the show. She's appeared many times on the late night show, or I guess mainly the last late night show is the one that she was on. The TBS show, I think it was on. I forget. I don't really know the American networks very well. I think it was TBS, the last one, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I could be rambling on it even more about this. I'm a huge fan. It was fun to see it again. Pretty much the way I remembered. A couple things that were fun to view now, as I am even a bigger fan. But basically, it was just fun to go through this again and to watch the extras. I really would recommend listening to the commentary if you're a fan and if you're able to find it. It's actually, I think it's on YouTube. Somebody posted the link on the Conan subreddit. Somebody found the commentary on YouTube and they posted it. But I had already decided on getting the DVD, so I didn't listen to it then. but yeah, this I find myself in this situation now where I've been rambling on for a while, but I also feel like I'm missing things I want to talk more about this. But I think I'm gonna have to move on to the next one, which is of course this Love Express: The Disappearance of Walerian Borowczyk, which I unboxed 2 days ago, and I watched it last night. It's pretty underwhelming. I really only bought it because of completionist purposes, but of course I was hoping that it was going to be good, but I wasn't shocked to find out that it's sort of a mediocre talking heads documentary. It's not really that illuminating. A few things that I enjoyed listening to, but so the thing that I was confused about before, the disappearance of whatever that was referring to, I guess it seems to refer to the disappearance of his artistic merit, or the perceived artistic merit by critics and audiences. As they talk about the change happening in the 70s, so I was confused before. I was comparing Love Rights from 1987 to The Beast from 1975, I think, and I think I said something like they're not that different necessarily in the way that they would be perceived in this way. But it does seem like the change that they referred to happened before The Beast, so I guess that makes more sense then. But I don't really know. I think the documentary was a little bit unfair to the artistic qualities to some of those erotic films, because they're just as good as the stuff he made before. I mean, Goto, The Isle of Love, was the first live-action film he made, and before that he had only made sort of animation shorts for the most part, and there's not necessarily a ton of erotic qualities in those. I guess he morphed into those kinds of erotic films with immoral tales, but I feel like Blanche has some of that stuff as well. I don't know. I certainly don't think that the erotic films are lesser in any way. In fact, I might just prefer them a little bit over the previous stuff. So yeah, it wasn't really necessarily the absolute most nuanced look, and it wasn't really able to dig that deep. The people they interview, it's mostly the same kind of roster. They recycle the same people. Well, that sounds odd, but it's sort of, once you've been introduced to the same few people in the beginning of the film, those are the people that the documentary then sticks with. And so it felt pretty closed. It didn't feel that big. I forget, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but it felt pretty narrow, yeah, it didn't feel that open. So yeah, I like the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray looks really nice, but the film itself, a bit of a disappointment, if I can even call it that, because I mean, like I said, I wasn't expecting it to be great, but I was perhaps expecting to find a few more things in it that I liked. But oh well. Yeah, I think that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. So I guess the next video is gonna be another unboxing. Then after that, it's gonna be a couple of update videos. Alright, see you next time.